The sun on the mining world of Ravik 9 was always weak, cold, and tired. It never shone brightly, and it never warmed anyone. The people who lived there felt the same tired, cold, and always working. Among them was Jonas Halle, a human mechanic. With rough hands and quiet eyes, he worked long hours fixing broken mining machines, and when he went home at night, he returned to an empty metal room with only a small heater for company. Jonas never expected his life to change. Every day felt like the one before it. Wake up, work, eat, sleep, repeat. But on this day, something different waited for him at the alien market. The market was loud, filled with strange smells and stranger creatures. Jonas only came to buy spare parts, but he noticed a crowd forming around a rusty metal cage. People laughed, shouted, and pushed each other to get a better look. Jonas planned to walk past them until he heard a voice shout, $5. Only 5. Someone take this useless thing. Jonas stopped. $5? On Ravik 9, even a half-broken robot part cost more than that. Curious, Jonas walked closer. Inside the cage sat a small alien girl with thin arms and shaking shoulders. She had light gray skin and long white hair that fell messily over her face. She wore torn cloth and no shoes. Her eyes, large and silver, stared at the ground as if she wished she could disappear. The crowd laughed at her. She stinks. One miner shouted, not even worth feeding. Another added. Jonas smelled it too, a strange sharp scent like burnt herbs. It wasn't pleasant, but it wasn't unbearable either. The girl curled tighter into herself when she heard the insults. The seller, a thick-bodied alien with 4 arms, slammed his hand against the cage. Look, she is weak, sick, she can't work. She cries too much. I want her gone. $5. Jonas felt a twist in his chest. The girl slowly lifted her head, just enough for her eyes to meet his. Those eyes. They were tired, scared, and filled with quiet pain. No one deserved to look like that. Jonas told himself to walk away. He didn't need trouble. He didn't need a slave. He didn't need anything that could pull him into danger. But he felt something he couldn't explain, like a voice inside whispering, "Help her." The seller saw Jonas standing there. You, he shouted, human. You want her. $5 and she's yours. Cheap deal. The crowd laughed louder. Go on, buy the stinking creature. Maybe she will clean your lonely house. Jonas clenched his jaw. He hated when people mocked others, even strangers. Even so, it felt crazy to buy a living being. He reached into his pocket and touched his small set of credits. $5 was nothing, but the choice meant everything. He looked again at the girl. She lowered her head as if she expected nothing good from anyone. Something inside Jonas moved. All right, he said quietly. I'll take her. The crowd roared in laughter and disbelief. Huh. The human actually bought her. What? An idiot. But Jonas ignored them. He paid the seller, who quickly unlocked the cage, pushed the girl out, and walked away before Jonas could change his mind. The alien girl stood before Jonas, shaking. She did not look him in the eyes. She kept her head low and whispered something he could barely hear. Thank you, master. Jonas winced at the word. He didn't want a slave. He didn't want control over anyone. But the law on Ravik 9 was strict. If you bought a female slave, you were automatically responsible for her completely. What is your name? Jonas asked gently. The girl hesitated, then whispered, Lira. Jonas nodded. Come with me, Lira. You're safe now. He wasn't sure if that was true, but it felt like the right thing to say. They walked through the dusty streets back toward Jonas's small home. Lira's steps were weak, almost silent. People stared as they passed, some with amusement, some with disgust. Jonas finally reached his door and opened it. Lira stepped inside slowly, looking around the tiny metal room as if unsure she was allowed to breathe. Jonas closed the door behind them. You don't have to be afraid, he said softly. Lira looked up at him, then really looked. Her silver eyes trembled with fear. She took a single step closer and whispered in a thin, shaking voice, "They will come for me tonight. Run before they find us." Jonas froze. "Who?" he asked. Lyra's hands tightened at her sides. Her voice broke as she answered, "The hunters. They never let one of my kind escape." And with those words, Jonas realized he had bought far more than a frightened alien girl. He had bought a storm that was already coming. Jonas did not sleep that night. He sat on the old metal chair in his small room, watching the shadows on the wall. Beside the heater, wrapped in a blanket, Lira lay curled like a frightened animal. Every small sound outside made her body shake. The words she had spoken kept echoing in Jonas's mind. "The hunters. They will come for me." Jonas had seen dangerous aliens before, but something in her voice told him this was worse, something older, something crueler. He wanted to ask questions, but she looked too tired and scared to speak more. Morning came slowly on Ravik 9. The pale light pushed through the dusty window, and Jonas finally stood up to prepare for another long workday. But before he could leave, there was a loud knock on the door. Jonas stiffened. Lira jumped up like she had been struck. "Is it them?" she whispered. Jonas put a finger to his lips and walked to the door, opening it just a crack. Two colony guards stood outside, wearing dark armor and carrying shock rifles. "You are Jonas Hale?" the first guard asked. "Yes," Jonas replied carefully. The second guard held up a small electronic tablet. "It says here you bought a female slave yesterday. Species unknown." Lira hid behind Jonas, trembling. The guard looked past Jonas with cold eyes. "We have come to confirm the law." Jonas frowned. "What law?" The guard tapped his tablet. "On Ravik 9, any male citizen who buys a female slave must claim her. Ownership alone is not allowed. You must register her as your wife." Jonas blinked. He thought he had heard wrong. "My what?" "Your wife," the guard repeated. "A forced marriage, colony policy. It prevents illegal trade. You know this." "No, I didn't," Jonas said sharply. "I don't want a wife. I just wanted to keep her safe." "That is not our problem," the guard replied. "You bought her. She belongs to you. If you refuse to marry her, she returns to slave control." Lira's breath caught in her throat. Her hands shook violently. "Please," she whispered, barely a sound. "Do not let them take me. They will sell me back to the hunters." The guards stepped forward. "Decision time, Jonas Hale," the first one said. "Marriage, or surrender the girl." Jonas felt anger rise through him. Lira pressed against his back like she feared she might fade away if she let go. "She will not survive if you take her," Jonas said. The guards did not care. "Choose." Jonas looked at Lira. Her silver eyes begged him. "Not for love, not for anything romantic. Only for life." He took a slow breath. "I will sign," Jonas said firmly. "I will marry her." The guards nodded and stepped inside without emotion. One handed Jonas a digital form, while the other scanned Lira's arm with a small device. She flinched at the cold touch. "It is done," the guard said after a moment. "She is now your legal wife. You are responsible for her safety and behavior. Any harm to her will be treated as harm to a citizen's wife." "That is a strange way to protect someone," Jonas muttered. The guards ignored him, turned, and walked away. The instant the door closed, Lira sank to the floor. Jonas crouched beside her. "It's okay," he said softly. "No one will take you again." Lira inhaled shakily. "Why did you do that? You did not have to bind yourself to someone like me." Jonas shook his head. "You needed protection. That's all." She lowered her eyes. "Where I come from, marriage is sacred. It is a promise of trust." Jonas rubbed the back of his neck, embarrassed. "Colony marriage isn't like that. It's just paperwork. Lira did not answer. Instead, she stood slowly and walked toward the small washroom. She stopped in the doorway and turned back toward him. "Thank you," she whispered. "When the danger is gone, you may free me. I will not stand in your life." Jonas wanted to tell her she wasn't a burden. But before he could speak, she closed the door. A faint scent drifted through the room, soft, sad, almost like smoke and flowers. He didn't know it yet, but that scent meant fear mixed with hope. Hours later, when Jonas returned from work, he found Lira sitting quietly with a small bag packed. "What's this?" he asked. Lira stood. "I must leave. The hunters will follow me. If they find me here, they will kill you." Jonas shook his head. "I'm not letting you walk into danger alone." She looked at him for a long time. Her voice came out small but firm. "You do not understand, Jonas. The hunters are coming. They always come." Before he could answer, something outside growled deep. Unnatural. Close. The room went silent. Lira's eyes widened. "They found me." The growling sound outside the metal walls slid through the air like a warning. Jonas froze. Lira stepped back until she touched the far corner, her breath shaking as if she could barely breathe. "One sound," she whispered. "One wrong move, and they will break in." Jonas's heart pounded. He moved slowly toward the window, careful not to make noise. Through the dusty glass he saw nothing, only the dim streetlights and drifting sand. But the growl came again, this time from the left side of the house. "They're circling," Lira said softly, hugging her arms tightly around herself. "They're smelling for me." Jonas frowned. "Smelling for you? I thought they tracked you by vision or scanners." "No." Lira shook her head, eyes filled with fear. "They track my scent, my kind. We cannot hide from them. They were bred to hunt us." Jonas finally understood. The strange scent she gave off, sharp, smoky, almost sour, was not because she was dirty or sick. It was something deeper, something her body made on its own. Something she didn't choose. He walked closer and crouched in front of her. "Lira, tell me the truth. What is that smell? Why does it follow you?" She lowered her head, ashamed. "When my people feel danger, our bodies release a scent. It warns others of our kind to run." She hesitated. "But to humans, and most aliens, it smells bad, ugly. Many think we are diseased." Jonas felt guilt twist in his chest. He remembered how the crowd had laughed at her, how the seller mocked her. Now it made him angry. "So the scent protects you?" Jonas asked. Quietly. "No," Lira whispered. "It is only a warning. It does not hide me, the hunters. They can smell it from far away. It leads them to me." Jonas clenched his fists. "Then why didn't you wash it off?" Lira's silver eyes looked up at him with deep sadness. "I tried. But the scent is not dirt. It comes from inside. If I force it to stop, my body becomes weak, and I might die." Jonas's breath tightened. "So that means, yes," Lira nodded. "They always find me." A loud thud struck the side door. Jonas jumped to his feet and grabbed the nearest tool, a heavy wrench. "Stay behind me," he said. Lira shook her head quickly. "No, you don't understand. You cannot fight them. They are trained killers." "And what do you expect me to do?" Jonas said quietly. "Let them take you?" Lira's lips parted as if she wanted to answer, but the words didn't come. Her eyes softened. She looked at him as if she wanted to believe he could protect her, even if she knew it was impossible. Another thud. The metal door bent inward, just slightly, but enough to show how strong the creature outside was. Lira backed further into the corner. "Jonas, they will kill you. You must run. If they see we bonded, if they smell that we are tied by marriage, they will not spare you." Jonas stepped closer, trying to calm her. "Lira, listen. I bought you because I couldn't walk away. I married you because I had no other choice. But keeping you safe, that is my choice." Her eyes widened at his words. He touched the wall, feeling the vibration of another hit. "Tell me how to stop them." Lira shook her head. "You cannot. But there is something you should know. Something about me." Jonas listened carefully. "My kind," she whispered, "are born with two scents. One is fear. The other is—" She swallowed nervously. "The other is hidden deep. It is very rare. A scent that can confuse hunters. But it only appears when—" The door shook violently, cutting her off. "When what?" Jonas demanded. "When we feel something very strong," she whispered. "Something pure. My mother said it appears when we feel safe. Or when we choose someone to trust." Jonas blinked. "And do you feel that now?" Lira's face softened. She touched her chest. "I don't know. I want to, but fear is stronger." Jonas stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Then trust me. We face this together." For a moment she just stared at him. Her trembling slowed. Her breathing steadied. Something in her eyes changed, just a little. Then the door finally burst open. A massive creature stepped inside, tall and dark, with glowing yellow eyes and long claws. It sniffed the air, turning slowly toward the corner where Lira stood. Jonas gripped his wrench. "Lira, run behind me!" But Lira did not move. Instead, she gasped as a warm glow began to spread over her skin. Not bright, just a soft shimmer. New scent filled the room. Not sharp, not ugly. Something gentle, warm, strange. But beautiful. The hunter paused. Confused. Jonas whispered, "Lira, what is that?" Lira's voice shook, but she answered, "The second scent. The one I thought I would never feel." The hunter snarled, but it hesitated, just enough for Jonas to grab Lira's hand and pull her toward the hidden tunnel beneath the floor. Behind them, the creature roared in frustration. Jonas and Lira ran into the darkness together, the hunters. "We're close." But now, for the first time, Lira wasn't helpless. The tunnel beneath Jonas's house was cold, narrow, and dark. The metal walls were old and covered in dust, but Jonas didn't stop to complain. He held Lira's hand and pulled her forward, their footsteps echoing softly as they hurried deeper underground. Above them, the house shook with heavy steps. The hunter was searching. Lira's breath came fast and shallow. The soft glow around her faded slowly as fear returned. "Keep going," Jonas whispered. "We need to reach the old mining station." Lira nodded, but her legs trembled. Jonas slowed just enough to steady her. Behind them, the sound of metal scraping against metal echoed through the tunnel. Jonas froze. "That sound," Lira whispered. "Another one." Jonas tightened his grip on the wrench he carried. "How many hunters came for you?" Lira swallowed hard. "If they tracked my scent, maybe 3, maybe more." Jonas closed his eyes briefly. "Great." Another sound, this time a deep, heavy breathing, came from the direction they had just run. "They're in the tunnels," Jonas muttered. "We need a faster route." He turned left into a side passage. It was even darker here, the air thick with dust. Jonas used the small emergency light on his wrist to guide them. Suddenly, a loud crash shook the tunnel behind them. Debris fell from the ceiling. "They're breaking through the walls," Lira whispered. "They won't stop." Jonas stopped running and stepped in front of Lira. "Listen, we're not dying here. You hear me?" Lira looked at him like she wanted to believe it, but didn't know if she could. Her voice came out small. "I should have left. I put you in danger." Jonas shook his head firmly. "You didn't choose this, and I don't abandon people." The scraping sound grew louder. The hunters were close, too close. Jonas spotted a broken service door ahead. "There, through that." He rushed to it and kicked the bottom panel. It creaked open just enough for them to crawl through. Lira slipped inside first. Jonas followed, pulling the door closed behind them. Inside the chamber stood old mining machines, long dead and covered in dust. The air tasted like metal. Jonas remembered working here years ago before the station shut down. "We can hide here," he whispered. "No," Lira said quietly. "Hunters never leave until they have their prey." Her silver eyes flicked toward the door. Jonas could hear heavy footsteps on the other side. The hunters were sniffing, tracking. Jonas took Lira's shoulders gently. "You said hunters are confused by your second scent." "Yes," she whispered, "but it is weak. It only lasts for moments." "Then make it last." Lira blinked, confused. "I cannot control it. It appears only when I feel strong trust or strong emotion." Jonas swallowed. "All right, then trust me. We will get out of this alive." She stared into his eyes. Something shifted in her expression, fear mixing with something warmer. But before she could answer, the door was torn from its hinges. A hunter stepped inside. It was taller than any creature Jonas had seen, its skin dark and rough like stone, its mouth filled with thin, sharp teeth. Its glowing eyes focused on Lira instantly. Lira gasped, stumbling back. Jonas moved between them. The hunter sniffed, confused when the weak second scent reached it. It tilted its head, sensing two mixed emotions, fear and something else. Jonas saw his chance. He grabbed a loose fuel hose hanging from the ceiling and yanked it down. Fuel spilled across the floor. He grabbed a broken spark rod from an old machine. "Cover your nose," Jonas ordered Lira. She did. Jonas struck the rod against metal. Sparks flew. The fuel ignited with a loud flash. A wall of fire rose between them and the hunter. The creature roared in rage, stepping back, blinded and stunned. "Run!" Jonas shouted. He grabbed Lira's hand again and sprinted toward the far exit. Heat burned their skin as flames grew behind them. The hunter recovered quickly, roaring again and leaping through the fire, its skin smoking. Jonas heard its claws scrape the metal floor. Lira cried out as she almost fell. Jonas pulled her close and forced his legs to move faster. They burst through the exit door and into the open along underground rail track. "Follow the tracks," Jonas said. They ran down the platform just as another two hunters dropped down from a higher tunnel. Lira screamed softly and pressed against Jonas as the creatures surrounded them from both sides. Jonas breathed hard, gripping his wrench like it was a sword. "Jonas," Lira whispered, voice breaking, "if I release the strong scent again, it may hurt me." Jonas looked at her with fierce determination. "Do it. I won't let anything happen to you." Lira's eyes filled with tears, not of fear, but of trust. Then her skin began to glow again, brighter than before. The scent changed the air, thickening it, bending it. The hunters staggered, shaking their heads in confusion. Jonas seized the chance. He pulled Lira onto a maintenance cart sitting on the rail. With a hard push, the cart rolled forward into the dark tunnel. The hunters roared behind them, unable to follow. Jonas sat beside Lira, breathing hard, heart pounding. Lira leaned weakly against him. Her voice was barely a whisper. "This power, I can't hold it long, but I used it for you." Jonas wrapped an arm around her shoulders as the cart sped deeper into the darkness. "You saved us," he said softly, "and I'm not letting you face this alone ever again." Outside, somewhere behind them, the hunters continued to scream. But for the first time, Jonas and Lira had created distance between themselves and death. The maintenance cart rolled through the abandoned rail tunnel, rattling over rusted metal. Jonas and Lira sat close together, the cold air brushing past their faces. Behind them, the hunters' roars faded into distant echoes, but Lira's glow faded too. Her body leaned heavily against Jonas, weak and trembling. The second scent, soft, warm, almost glowing, still hung in the air, but it was thinning. "Lira," Jonas whispered, touching her arm. "Are you okay?" She lifted her head slightly, her silver eyes half open. "The strong scent. It takes much energy. My body is not made to use it so often." Jonas's heart tightened. She had saved him twice now. She had risked everything. He steadied her with one arm, pulling her gently against his chest. "Rest, we're far enough now. They won't find us easily." Lira closed her eyes, comforted by his voice. "You always say that," she murmured, "yet danger always follows me." Jonas looked ahead into the darkness. "Then we face it. Together." The cart slowed as they reached the old mining station, an enormous cavern filled with silent machines, broken conveyor belts, and tall metal towers. Dust covered everything like snow. The place had not been touched for years. "Come on," Jonas said softly. He lifted Lira into his arms. She was light, almost too light, and he could feel how tired she was. Lira wanted to protest, but she didn't have the strength. Jonas found a small supply room with a working door and set her down on a stack of old blankets. He pulled a heating unit from a shelf, turned it on, and warm air filled the room. For the first time since they met, Lira visibly relaxed. "You're safe," Jonas said gently. "No hunters, no guards, just us for now." Lira looked around the room with soft curiosity. "It is quiet here. Like a forgotten world." "It is," Jonas agreed. "No one comes down here anymore." "It's the safest place on Ravik 9, Lira." Pulled the blanket around her shoulders. Her scent had softened again, still foreign, but no longer sharp or harsh. Jonas realized it changed with every emotion she felt. He sat across from her and asked, "Lira, you said your people were hunted. Why?" She hesitated, as if speaking the truth might break something fragile. "My people are gentle. We create scents that calm and heal. But the hunters, the cartel, they found a way to use our bodies to make rare perfumes worth much money. We became valuable items." Jonas clenched his jaw. "So they turned your kind into a resource." Lira nodded. "Yes, many of my people were captured. Some never returned." A quiet moment passed between them, heavy with pain. Then Lira's voice softened even more. "Jonas, when you saw me in the cage, why did you stop? You could have walked away." Jonas took a slow breath. "Because your eyes looked like you wanted help but expected none. No one deserves that." Lira looked down, her fingers tightening. "Around the blanket, no human has ever spoken for me. Not until you." Jonas shifted closer. "You're not a slave to me. You're not an object. You're someone I want to protect." Her breath caught, but before she could speak, the heating unit flickered, the lights dimmed. Then a loud mechanical groan echoed through the mining station. Jonas stood quickly. "Something's activating." Lira's scent sharpened again with fear. "Did the hunters find us?" Jonas listened carefully. No growls, no claws. Instead, machinery. "Not hunters," Jonas said. "Something else." He stepped out of the room and looked into the cavern. Far across the chamber, a tall tower hummed to life. Lights blinked on one by one, glowing red. Lira walked to the doorway, holding the blanket around her. "What is that?" "A security sentinel," Jonas said. Slowly, "Old mining machines used to guard the tunnels to stop thieves. But I thought all of them were shut off." Another machine powered on, then another. Large metal shapes rose from the darkness like waking giants. Lira's voice shook. "Jonas, they are moving toward us." Jonas ran back inside, grabbed his wrench and a small toolkit. His mind raced. "These machines don't hunt people, unless they think we're intruders. And we definitely look like intruders." Lira touched his arm. "We cannot fight metal monsters." Jonas smirked softly. "Despite the danger, we can outsmart them." He grabbed Lira's hand. "Come on. There's a control room above the mining tower. If I can reach it, I might be able to shut the machines down. Lira looked up at him with trust growing in her eyes, trust strong. Enough to push back her fear. I will follow you, she said quietly. Wherever you go. Jonas squeezed her hand. Together, they stepped out into the vast mining chamber as the towering machines turned. Their glowing eyes toward them thought the hunters were not the only danger now. Something older, colder, and entirely mechanical had awakened, and the night was far from over. The mining chamber shook as the ancient machines awakened fully. Their metal limbs scraped against the ground, sending sharp echoes across the cavern. Dust fell from the ceiling in soft clouds. Jonas stared at the glowing red eyes of the sentinels, cold, empty, and locked directly onto them. Keep low. Jonas whispered, pulling Lira behind a fallen conveyor belt. One of the sentinels stomped forward. Its heavy feet slammed into the ground like falling stones. Each step made the platform tremble. Lira clutched Jonas's arm tightly. They will crush us. They move like mountains. Jonas swallowed hard. They're old machines. Slow, but strong. If we stay in one place too long, we're dead. He scanned the chamber quickly. High above them, a control platform sat on a dangling metal bridge. Wires hung from it like vines, swaying with every movement of the machines. That's where I need to go, Jonas said. Those controls can shut the sentinels down. Lira followed his gaze. But the bridge is broken. It still leads close enough, Jonas said. If I can reach the override panel, I can freeze every machine here. Lira looked at him with wide, frightened eyes. But I cannot climb that high. And if I use my strong scent again. Her voice faded. Jonas understood. The last time she used it, she almost collapsed in his arms. Her glowing scent wasn't a magical power. It was a sacrifice every time she used it. He brushed her knuckles softly. You don't have to. This time, I just need you to stay hidden. She shook her head. No, Jonas, you do not understand. The hunters are not gone. They are still following the trail. If you go alone, I cannot protect you. And if I release the scent without control, it could destroy me. Jonas took a breath. He looked at the sentinels, then at the dark tunnels behind them. 2 enemies, one mechanical, one alive. Both closing in. He touched Lira's cheek gently. I'm not asking you to fight. I'm asking you to trust me. Her silver eyes softened, full of a quiet ache. I do trust you. But trust does not make you safe. Before Jonas could speak, one of the sentinels swung a heavy arm across the chamber. Metal beams snapped and crashed to the floor, sending sparks everywhere. The ground shook violently. We have to move. Jonas shouted. He pulled Lira behind another broken machine, just as a second sentinel stepped closer. Its scanner beam sweeping across the floor like a red spotlight. Jonas looked around, desperately, and saw something he hadn't noticed before. Narrow service ladder, bolted to the side of the wall. It led directly to the broken bridge. That's it, Jonas whispered. Lira, I'm climbing up. I can reach the controls from there. Lira grabbed his arm suddenly. Jonas, listen. Her voice trembled. I cannot stay here alone. The hunters will find me. My fear scent, it is getting stronger. It will lead them faster. Jonas stared at her. That was the truth he had been trying to ignore. The longer they stayed, the more her fear scent increased, and the more the hunters would close in. Even if Jonas stopped the machines, the hunters would still come. Jonas had to choose. Escape now, or stay and shut the machines down. Leaving meant risking the sentinels, killing them as they ran. Staying meant facing the hunters after the machines were gone. Lira saw the war inside him. She stepped closer until her forehead touched his chest. Jonas, she whispered, if you choose to run, I will follow. If you choose to fight, I will stay with you. But one path will save you. The other will endanger you for me. Jonas placed a hand on the back of her head. I didn't ask for this. But I won't run and leave danger behind us. If these machines stay alive, no one gets out of here." Lira looked up at him. Her eyes shined not from fear, but from something deeper. "You are choosing a hard road," she whispered. Jonas smiled faintly. "You're worth it." For a moment, something warm flickered in Lira's scent, not glowing, not sharp, just gentle and full of trust. But then a distant roar echoed through the tunnel behind them that the hunters had found their trail again. "We're out of time," Jonas said. He stepped toward the ladder. Lira grabbed his sleeve. "Jonas, wait." He turned out, her hands shook. Her voice cracked. "If the hunters attack you while you are on the bridge, you will fall. They always target the one who protects." Jonas took her hands in his. "Then protect me from down here. You've done it before." Lira let out a soft breath, almost like a promise. "Then go," she whispered. "I will hold them back." Jonas placed his forehead against hers. "Stay alive," he whispered. Then he climbed the ladder. Lira watched him ascend into the shadows as the machines marched closer and the hunters' roars grew louder. For the first time, she felt not just fear, but something else. A feeling so strong it began to wake the glow beneath her skin once more. Asterisk. The metal ladder groaned under Jonas's weight as he climbed. Every step echoed through the huge mining chamber. The sentinels kept moving below, their glowing red eyes sweeping the room like cold lanterns. Lira hid behind a fallen beam, watching him with her heart shaking inside her chest. Jonas reached the dangling bridge and carefully stepped on it. The old metal swayed beneath him. One wrong move and he would fall into the machines below. Just a little more, he whispered to himself. Far beneath him, Lira placed her hand on the beam, steadying her breath. She could feel Jonas's fear. She could sense it in the air, faint but real. And she could sense something else too. Something she still didn't understand. She whispered softly to him, even though he couldn't hear. "Be safe, Jonas. Please be safe." A deep roar tore through the tunnel entrance. Lira's blood ran cold. The hunters had arrived. 3 of them stepped into the chamber, muscular, tall, with glowing yellow eyes that burned with hunger. They sniffed the air, their sharp teeth showing. They smelled her. Lira's scent, her fear scent, pulled them like a trail. She backed away slowly, her heart racing. But one hunter looked upward and saw Jonas on the bridge. It let out a furious roar. Jonas froze. No, now. The sentinels heard the roar too, but they did not know who the enemy was. They simply followed their ancient programming. One sentinel aimed a scanner at Jonas, another stomped toward Lira. Both human and alien were trapped between metal and monsters. Lira felt panic rise inside her. She knew Jonas couldn't run. He had to reach the control panel. If he failed, the machines would crush them both. And if he succeeded, the hunters would kill him before he climbed down again. There was only one choice left. Lira closed her eyes, and she let herself feel everything. Her fear, her pain, her hope, her trust in Jonas, her growing love. A warmth spread through her body, deeper than before, brighter than before. Her skin glowed softly from within. The glow grew stronger, spreading like a quiet flame. The scent changed again, becoming powerful, warm, sweet, and bright. It rolled through the chamber like a silent wave of light. The hunters stopped mid-step. Their eyes widened. They staggered backward, shaking their heads, confused and stunned. The scent was breaking their senses. The sentinels reacted differently. Their scanners flickered wildly, their programming struggling to interpret the new chemical signal. Their red eyes dimmed, flickered, and lost focus. Jonas looked down in shock. "Lira, what did you do?" But Lira could not answer. Her legs trembled as the power grew stronger than her small body could hold. Her glowing skin flickered like a fading star. Jonas saw it, and fear shot through his heart. "No, Lira, don't," he shouted. "Stop, you'll hurt yourself." But the scent kept flowing, stronger, stronger, as if her heart itself was releasing everything she had ever held inside. It was not just a scent of protection. It was a scent of choice. A scent of devotion. The hunters collapsed to their knees. Howling in confusion. The sentinel stopped completely. Frozen in place. Jonas seized the moment. He reached the control panel and slammed his palm onto the override switch. Sparks flew. Screens flashed. Finally, all the sentinels powered down. Silence. A deep, heavy silence. Jonas didn't wait. He ran across the bridge, down the ladder, ignoring the pain in his arms. He jumped the last 10 steps and landed hard, rolling onto the ground. Lira. She was collapsing to her knees, her glow fading fast. Jonas rushed to her and caught her before she hit the floor. Her breathing was weak. Too weak. "Lira, stay with me," he begged, lifting her face gently. "Please stay." Her silver eyes opened, soft and dim. "Jonas, I am sorry. I used too much, but you needed time, you needed safety. You gave me too much," he whispered, voice breaking. "You gave everything." Her fingers touched his cheek, shaking. "I did not do it for the world. I did it for you." Jonas's breath caught. "No," he croaked. "You're going to live. I'm not losing you." He lifted her in his arms and carried her deeper into the tunnel, away from the hunters and machines. He kept whispering her name, touching her cheek to keep her awake. Hours later, he reached the outer exit, a quiet moonland beyond Ravik 9, where an abandoned shuttle rested under silver light. Jonas used every tool and every skill he had to repair it through the night, refusing to let her fade. At dawn, the shuttle lifted into the sky, carrying Jonas and Lira away from the world that hurt her. On a peaceful moon colony, days later, Lira finally woke in a small medical bed. Jonas was beside her, sleeping in a chair from exhaustion. She touched his hand lightly. "Jonas," his eyes shot open. Relief flooded him. "You're alive," he whispered. "Thank the stars. You're alive." Lira smiled softly, for the first time without fear. "I thought I would die. But I wanted to see you again. That kept me living." Jonas took her hand gently. "You saved my life," he said. "But you became more than someone I wanted to protect." Her eyes shimmered. "And you became more than someone who rescued me." She leaned her forehead against his. Her scent changed again, warm, peaceful, filled with love. Not fear. Not pain. Just pure calm. Jonas held her close. "You weren't sold for $5, he whispered. "You were the greatest gift I ever found." Lira smiled, tears shining in her eyes. "Then let me stay by your side. Not because of law, but because I choose you." Under the soft moonlight, 2 souls, one human, one alien, found real freedom and found each other.